Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past 11 o'clock. This 11 o'clock thing is killing me. I cannot wait until we are back to the regular schedule. I'll tell you that right now. But it's just past 11 o'clock here in glorious uptown Kyiv. Hey, Sarah. I was just lamenting about this daylight savings time situation. I cannot wait until we are back to the regular schedule. Hey, Avi. Hey, Richard Prexis. Hey, Andre. How's everybody doing? Hey, Nightshade. Hey, Colin. That extra hour every night really makes a difference, boy. And hey, Guy. Hey, Mark Charles. Hey, Dan. Hey, Bernard. Hey, G2. How's everybody doing? That extra hour really makes a difference. We have one more week until everybody's on daylight savings time. For those that do it. Hey, Lars. Hey, Jackie. So I'm sorry, guys. If your time is disrupted because of daylight savings time, it will all be over in one more week. We just have 1 week left of this. Hey, Van, how you living? Hey, Para. Sorry I ran a little bit late tonight, guys. But I cannot wait for daylight savings time to be over. Or to start. Daylight savings time to start. Hey, Alice, how you doing? Alice, thanks for your note. That was very nice. Yeah, sorry about last night. Hey, Guard. Sorry about last night, guys, but I'm dumb, right? I'm dumb. I left the house yesterday about noon or so, and there was no power. And I forgot to plug the power bank in. So then I get home about 10 o'clock, a little after, and I go to plug the power bank in. My phones are dead. I was out all day. I go to plug the power bank in, and the power goes out again. Boom. We were dead in the water last night. Dead in the water, no power. Oh, Colin, speak for yourself. Hey, Deb. Hey, Truth Hurts. Hey, Parda. Hey, AJ. I knew a guy named AJ once. How's everybody doing? Hey, Daniel Ballard. Long time no see. How you doing, buddy? Oh, you slept through last night? You missed nothing, Lars. You missed absolutely nothing. Jean Marquis, good evening. How's everybody doing? Hey, Francis. Hey, Terry. Hey, Jan. Pardas mentions an A50 got hit. It appears that way. I am enjoying a cup of George. It's English breakfast tea. Hey, Illuminated Core. Hey, Sergey. I'm home, Sergey. Where are you at? Hey, Sean. Hey, Victoria. Bonasera. Russian channels are now playing songs about how great it is to be without internet. Oh, I get so much more done without the internet. Hey, Refurb Man. How you living? Hey, Clive Sutton. So Parda mentioned the A50. So tonight, guys, what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of step back. That strike on the A50, and for everybody who's really paying attention, because you would have to really be paying attention to mention that A50. The A50 is the Russian AWACS. right? You're in Cherkasy. I'm in Kyiv, man. So the A-50 is a Russian AWAC, right? And you know what the AWACS are used for, right? The AWACS are those planes that have that big radar dish, that round radar dish on the back of them, and they're used as flying command and control centers. So the AWAC is up there in the air. It can search the sky for targets, and it can relay that information to ground and air forces to bring those targets under fire. As I understand it, when this war began, the Russians maybe had 10 of them, but only about half of them were flying, right? Only about half of them were able to fly. The rest, it appears, they were cannibalizing for spare parts. Then the Ukrainians took out 2 in the air, leaving 3. Now, this one that was hit on the ground at the repair shop, we don't know if it was one of the ones that was able to fly, that was flight worthy, or it was one of the ones that was just being used for spare parts. We don't, as far as I know, we don't know the answer to that question. But regardless, right, it doesn't matter. If it can't be used for parts anymore because it got blowed up, that's a good result. There was some talk that, in fact, there were 2 in that workshop, but we don't have any confirmation on the second one being hit or not being hit, or even for sure that it was there. But there was a lot of talk about there being 2 there. Happy Friday, Colin. Hey, Chef Deb, you didn't miss much. I was about 10 minutes late tonight. Sorry about that, everybody. Hey, Chrissy Locks. So, anytime a high-end piece of military hardware, like a $350 million plane, that serves as the eyes in the sky for the Russian army, anytime something like that gets hit, that's a big win for Ukraine. It's a detriment to Russia. And so we should all be happy that there's one less AN-50 or A-50 that's going to be flying, right? That's a big deal. But tonight, what I wanted to do, because honestly, guys, I mean, I don't know about you, but ever since the Iran conflict started, it's been like a fire hose of information out there. There is so much uncertainty. There is so much confusion. There is such a rapid pace of acceleration and expansion of the Iran conflict. And it is tied directly to Ukraine, make no mistake. It makes me crazy that the news channels that I used to depend on for feeds about Ukraine are now nothing but Iran. Nothing but Iran. And I am sorry, but this elective war of choice on the part of the United States in Iran is simply not as, look, I don't want to compare suffering, right? It's a bad situation. But the reality is more people die in Ukraine every fucking day than have in the 20 days of the Iran conflict. More people die on the ground in Ukraine every day. I hear people these talking heads talk about how Iran is the most active battlefield in the world. Bullshit. Bullshit. So far, Iran has been nothing but an air campaign. There are no boots on the ground. There are no men dying in trenches. There are no civilian populations being overrun by the horde. That's Ukraine. And one of the first things I want to say, looking at what's happening in Iran, how the effect of this one, Seth Meyers, do you guys ever watch Seth Meyers? I love Seth Meyers. But Seth Meyers mentioned last night, he only knows 3 straits, right? And I'm like, wait, what do you mean you only know 3 straits? We have 3 straits right here in Ukraine. You got the Kerch Strait, you got the Straits of the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles. We got straits all over the place. The Strait of Gibraltar, the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Magellan. I mean, there's a million straits in the world. Why is it that this one particular tiny little waterway through which 20% of global oil flows is a choke point for our civilization, threatens to undermine all of the work of the last 80 years of post-World War II prosperity? Why is this the case? And the answer is clear and simple. Hey, Bjorn. The answer is clear and simple because we're all dependent on fossil fuels. Why is Vladimir Putin in Ukraine? Most analysts would agree that Vladimir Putin is here because in 2012, huge gas reserves were found off the coast of Crimea, in Crimea and off the coast of Crimea. And Vladimir Putin couldn't have a neighbor threatening his European gas business. And so that became the primary fundamental reason that has driven this war and the illegal annexation of Crimea. What we should all be thinking to ourselves long term. Thanks, Nightshade. What we should all be thinking long term is how do we get off of fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are literally killing us. They're boiling the planet. And yet we persist. And yet we persist. And when I look at this war, and now I'm using that term generically for both what's happening in Iran and in Ukraine, because they are absolutely related. Absolutely related. When we look at this war, this is a war of the oligarchs. You've got 3 of the world's largest oil producers. You've got America, the largest oil producer, hitting Iran, one of the top 10. And you've got Russia, right? Who I think is number 2nd in the world in oil production. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. I'd have to look at a chart. But they're high. They're in the top like 3 or 4. It's all about this filthy energy that is destroying us even as we consume it. And then you got Donald Trump, the great deal maker, the great businessman, right? Who's supposed to be so good at business. And right now, he is looking at spending $1 billion of the taxpayers' money in order to shut down a wind project off the coast of, I want to say Massachusetts or New York, somewhere right there. I'm not sure what that's about, Little Red, but it's right on target for Florida. So the reality is, what we should all be thinking And your opinions on whether wind works or not are irrelevant because wind does work. I mean, that's just a fact. When we look at this war, we should understand that this is blood for oil. It's blood for oil, it's blood for gas. And that's what's really at play here. No matter what your other political affiliations are, no matter what else you think is going on, one thing that we can agree on is that this is about the oil. It's about the money. Exactly, Alice. Exactly. And the way to keep it from becoming, for another one of these to ever happen, is to get off of oil, to take the power away from these extraction economies that suppress their own people. And America is becoming one of them. It is just obscene. And I know that this channel is Ukraine focused. But the reality is that what's happening in America is directly impacting this war. In the United States today, we have an administration that is looking at the third world and saying to them, if you don't give us your rare earth minerals and your oil and gas, we will cut off our HIV/AIDS medical programs to you. We have an administration that is blackmailing the poorest people in the world over their AIDS medications. They are literally saying to these countries, like Zimbabwe, right, where 10%, wait, I shouldn't say that. Was it Zimbabwe or Zaire? I apologize. The African nation in question slips my mind just now. I can't say with 100% certainty. But there was one country where the rate of HIV infection is 10%. 10%. 1/10 of the population is HIV positive. Zambia. Thank you. 1/10 of the population is HIV positive. Those people depend on American humanitarian aid in the form of HIV therapy drugs to stay alive. And we're now blackmailing them. It's not your problem. Then you're an idiot. You don't understand how the world works. Everything is our problem because we are all interconnected. It is our problem if there are people dying of AIDS in Africa. No, actually, I don't. Let me ask you a question. Iran just blew up 17% of the world's LNG supply, right? They hit the Qatari LNG plant. You think, and 17% of global supply is now gone. Do you think that doesn't affect you? They aren't getting it, and further, the Democrat NGOs are stealing it. You know, you have to live in reality, pal, right? That's why we have audits. That's why we have transparency. You can't just say that the Democrats are stealing everything and have people think you're telling the truth. That's bullshit. Now, look, if there is fraud going on, if money's being stolen, of course we want to find out about it. We want to know about it. But as a tax-paying American, I want to know that my money is going to save those people's lives because that makes a difference in the world. That makes a difference in the world. The price of a barrel in North America is not affected until 3 months. I, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. The price of oil is a global commodity. It's up. It's up now to $120 a barrel. So I don't know what you're talking about waiting 3 months. That's nonsense. The long-term implications of the war in Iran are unclear because we don't know what's going to happen. Sure, yeah, right, Dan? How about the way that the American regime is currently enriching itself on the taxpayer dime? Chef Deb, gas is $3 where you are. It's a global market. I love these people who say bullshit like America is energy independent, so we don't have to worry about it. Bullshit. You don't think that American oil companies, if they can get $120 a gallon by selling the oil to Brazil, aren't going to sell it to Brazil rather than sell it to American refineries? Why do you think American refineries buy so much oil from Iraq and other places? Guard, yeah, for all the Americans who feel bad out there, look at what gas is a gallon in Norway. $9.50 a gallon. It's up over $1 a gallon. So any rational person that's in this live has to agree that these wars are all about oil and money for the oligarchs. And the oligarchs include Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is not an American president, right? Let's look at what's going on in the United States. Aside from blackmail of the poorest countries on earth who depend on us to keep their people alive, aside from that, and of course this becomes possible because he destroyed USAID, right? Because an organization created by an act of Congress, he destroyed. He doesn't have the authority to do that. We have a president that is constantly exercising extra executive authority like the fucking dictator he wants to be. And his reaction and his actions have directly resulted in diesel going over $5 a gallon in the United States for only the second time in history. And that will drive inflation. That will cost people money on top of his illegal tariffs, which the court has already said he doesn't have the power to do. And yet he's back at it doing it again and not returning the money, which he's never going to return. Then we have him pulling Maduro out of Venezuela and putting $500 million worth of oil sales into a private account in Qatar that only he has access to. Complete insanity. Complete insanity. You have him unleashing his ICE agents on Americans in the streets, telling them that they have full immunity and that they don't need to worry about the First, Second, or Fourth Amendments, that they can shoot Americans in the face and they will get away with it. Insane. Absolutely insane. Unparalleled. Not to mention, of course, all the talk about the Epstein files and that he's likely trying to distract from the Epstein files with this war. But I think there's more to it than that. And there are two things that I want to point out. For example, the first is Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban in Hungary. He's up for re-election in just a couple of weeks. And it's not looking good for him, right? It's not looking good for him. So he's brought in the Russian GRU, the Military Intelligence Directorate of Russia. Specialists are there fucking with the Hungarian elections again. You've got him blackmailing Ukraine and running on it. This is what's important. He's blackmailing Ukraine over the Druzhba pipeline. Russia bombs the Druzhba pipeline. Russia took it out. This is very important. This is very important. Russia bombed the pipeline themselves. Then Viktor Orban is right on it, boy. He's right there to say, Ukraine, you must fix pipeline or we block your 90 billion loan. And you got Fico jumping in, unilaterally withdrawing Slovakia from the emergency energy sharing agreement with Ukraine. And threatening that if Viktor Orban loses his seat in April, that Slovakia will block the 90 billion euros. Not getting that 90 billion euros here would be devastating to Ukraine. After about the middle of May or so, I guess, is when the budget crisis will come to a head here, if that money's not in the country. So Viktor Orban, at a time of war, is threatening his neighbor with blackmail if he doesn't restore this source of income for the Russians. Now, I was very surprised and I was very unhappy when what looked like appeasement to me came up this week, right? Because Ursula von der Leyen, head of the European Council or the EU Council, called Zelensky and said, Zelensky, look, we will help you repair the pipeline. We'll give you cash, help you repair the pipeline. And Zelensky says, okay, fine. And to me, that was appeasement at its worst. Appeasement of the dictator Putin, appeasement of the dictator Orban, but it might have been something else. It might have been something cleverer. Because Viktor Orban is campaigning on a campaign of fear against Zelensky. Zelensky is the devil. Zelensky is evil. Zelensky threatened to murder my children, which he did not, by the way. But there are lots of pro-Orban Hungarians who believe he did. They are using everything against him in the election. So one would think, if you said to Viktor Orban, Viktor, we will repair pipeline for you. Good now? He would say, yes, good. Unblock the 90 billion euros. Instead, when he was told that they had come to this agreement and would be fixing it, the look on his face in the press conference was one of complete surprise. It doesn't matter. It's a lie. They're not going to fix it. It's a lie. He can't let it go because he's campaigning on it. It's like Trump with the border issue. He had to kill border legislation so that he had something to run on. And so Hungary disingenuously threatens Ukraine for an election talking point. And then when they get what they want, they still won't capitulate. They won't agree. Now, Donald Trump, so that shows their hand, right? That shows Hungary's hand. It shows that Hungary is a tool of the Kremlin and is actively working in the benefit and interest of the Kremlin. clearly, Donald Trump is now in a very similar place. How many times have I said, I can't prove Donald Trump is a Russian asset, but what would he do differently if he wasn't? Now we have a moment. We have a moment because he is fucked in Iran with his bullshit war of distraction and choice. He's fucked. The Iranians have closed the Strait of Hormuz. They are choking off global energy supply. And more importantly, they are hitting oil and gas infrastructure in the region. Right? Almost as if the Iranians were behaving toward their neighbors as Ukraine behaves toward Russia. Almost as if Russia wants to see what's been happening to it, its impoverishment, its bankruptcy, its hits on critical infrastructure. Almost as if Russia, who's seen all of that happen to it, wants to see that happen to the rest of the world. Wants the U.S. to run through their stockpiles of weapons. Wants the U.S. engaged in a forever war that it cannot win. Insanity reigns right now with these bastards. But here's the thing. Donald Trump can't handle the Strait of Hormuz by himself. It needs an international coalition. Everyone told him to fuck off except the Ukrainians, right? Except the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians were on the phone that day. Yeah, we'll be there, no problem. 201 Ukrainian drone experts gone to the Middle East to help protect American bases. Absolutely shocked by what they are finding there. It's as if the United States has not been paying attention to the war in Ukraine at all. As many as 3 Patriot missiles used to shoot down 1 Shahed. That's $9 million to take out what is at most a 50,000 drones. Right, Courtney, I'm getting there. So the Ukrainians are the only ones that came in on Trump's side, and he insulted them. No, we don't need anything, especially from that Zelensky. We're fine. We don't need anything. It's ridiculous. The only people with the knowledge, the expertise, the experience, the battlefield experience, and the technology to take out Shahed drones cost effectively are the Ukrainians. And by all reports, the Ukrainians in the Middle East are shocked at how unprepared the American forces are for this. So we got to get a little humility, America, and recognize that our strength is not because we are strong. Our strength is in our alliances. That's why we're strong. Our alliances make us strong. Not that we have some extraordinary strength. Yeah, my dream is not for sale correctly reports the numbers. In the first, I think it was 4 days of the war, but let's say 3 days. First 3 or 4 days of the war, 800 Patriots gone. Ukraine has only got 600 this whole war. Unbelievable. So 200 a day compared to 200 a year for Ukraine, because Ukraine didn't get Patriots for the first year of the war. And that's the other thing, Courtney, to disrespect the Ukrainians who earn that knowledge through the sacrifice of blood is obscene. It's an obscenity that could only be committed by the worst kind of person in the world. And that, of course, is Donald Trump. Now, here's the thing. I think it was Courtney, wasn't it, that mentioned it? The Australian reporter. Yeah. So I'm watching this speech of Finland's President Stubb the other day. And afterward at the press conference, an Australian reporter raises her hand and says to the president of Finland, have you guys thought about offering to help the Americans in exchange for everything that Ukraine needs to win? And you could hear a pin drop in that room. That young woman, that Australian reporter, she may have well saved Western civilization. Because Alexander Stubb became extraordinarily quiet and thoughtful. You could see the wheels turning in his head. He's like, that's a good idea. I should talk to my colleagues. And that's what he did. And a day or maybe 2 days later, we get a joint press release from Italy, Germany, the UK, France, a couple others, all saying, we will come and help you if you give us everything we need for Ukraine. Donald Trump has not responded to this offer. Donald Trump is between the Scylla and Charybdis in Iran. And now he's got this offer of help from the Europeans. He cannot accept this offer. If I'm right, and he is a Russian asset, he cannot accept this offer because it would go directly against Vladimir Putin. And whatever Putin has over him, he will exercise that leverage. So he cannot accept the offer. He also cannot reject the offer. He can't reject it because if he rejects it, then everybody who's on the fence about him in the Republican Party in the U.S. will understand what he is. Right, I do wonder what excuse he will give. Maybe he'll get a call from Putin to tell him how to frame it. But he is in a catch-22 right now, where he cannot accept the offer, if I'm right and he's a Russian asset, which I am sure he is. And if he rejects the offer, his own people will be like, are you insane? You just got what you wanted. You just got what you wanted. And that could well spark the change inside of the Republican Party that is needed to bring Donald Trump out of power. Everybody here knows I absolutely believe he cannot accept this offer. He can't do it. Or he will accept this offer and offer, or he will, what he will probably do is he will offer to the Europeans so little, it is not nearly what they ask for, it is not nearly what they need to deal with Ukraine. He will offer them so little that they reject the offer and then he blames them. I don't know what else he could possibly do. Hey, Arna, I thought you were hanging out with that beagle, that nice looking beagle. Okay. Anyway, hey, Robert Stewart Key. Hey, Betty Thompson. How you doing? So it is going to be very interesting to watch how the Trump administration squares this circle. It's a problem for him. Now, what about Ukraine? Ukraine is the only piece of this puzzle that I really understand what's going on. The Ukrainians continue the valiant fight for their survival amidst Russian aggression. And they are doing a hell of a job. And we are definitely at an inflection point in this war. Now, that does not mean that I think we're going to see thunder runs across the steppes of Zaporizhia anytime soon. But it certainly appears as though the Ukrainians are laying the groundwork for this. This guy, you're right. Ukraine is the most important piece of this puzzle. That's what I'm getting at. Remember I said before, in Iran, they haven't lost as many people as Ukraine loses every day. Every day. This is the largest, oh, pardon me. This is the largest land war in Europe since World War II. We've got World War II style casualties. Certainly on the Russian side, we don't know clearly how many Ukrainians. But about 894,000 KIA Russians. Almost a million, on its way to a million. Colin mentions the kill zone. The Ukrainians are expanding the kill zone constantly. The kill zone used to be, a kilometer, 2 kilometers between the offensive and defensive forces. And then it was 5 kilometers. Then it was 7 kilometers. Now, depending on who you listen to and how you count these things, it's probably mostly 10 to 15 kilometers. Anything that moves in there has a very short life expectancy. So the Russian forces can't even get to the frontline trenches because they've got to walk 10 to 15 kilometers through a kill zone swarming with drones. And the Ukrainians just keep pushing that back further and further. I saw one map today that suggested it was as much as 100 kilometers deep. That basically nothing within 100 kilometers of the front line is safe from Ukrainian drones and missiles. The Russian spring campaign has started and casualties are averaging 1,600 a day, with about half of those being KIA. Half. So the Russian spring offensive is not off to a good start. We've already seen horses in battle killed. Horses, like it's the 1900s. And you know what? That is the one thing that all of these bastards have in common. They want to take us back to the world of the 1900s. Where we don't have an income tax in the United States. Instead, we tax our people with tariffs. Where women don't have the right to vote. The SAVE Act in the United States is trying to strip the right of women to vote. Keep them out of the polling places. It's the 1900s. Or not the 1900s, the 1800s. They want to take us back to the 1800s. Putin wants to be a czar. Trump wants to be a king. The Ayatollah is effectively an absolute ruler, right? Right? They want to take us back to a world where vaccines don't exist. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to send that invite. That is not what I meant to do. Sorry. I just hit the wrong button. Please ignore that invite. NPR said that the United States is now more of an authoritarian nation than a democracy. Yeah. When masked secret police can shoot with impunity, citizens in the face, and face no charges, you're living in an autocracy. When you build camps to house your detainees, when you build concentration camps and lock people up without due process of law, you are an authoritarian regime. You are not a democracy. And make no mistake, that's what Donald Trump wants. He wants to abolish the Constitution. He wants to say, oh God, everybody pay attention to this. Here's one of the most stupid things anybody can say. We are a republic. Please explain to me, what's the difference between a republic and a democracy? We'll wait. Monopoly of the media is a real problem too. Come on, dipshit. What's the difference between a democracy and a republic? We are. These idiots, right? So the United States is a constitutional republic, right? Which is a form of democracy, you dumb cunt. I mean, really, what world do you have to live in to make this argument? The Republicans like to call it a republic because they think, oh, I'm a Republican. We live in a republic. The Democrats, they live in a democracy. Trump-tards with no, it's like trying to play chess with a pigeon. It's pointless. All the pigeon does is knock the pieces over, shit on the board, and then strut around like he won. He has no idea what just happened. The same with guys like this. We live in a republic. Oh. Yeah, we do. And to the republic for which it stands. And your lack of understanding is what is ending our republic. Make no mistake. Your lack of understanding, your ignorance, is why Renee Nicole Good is dead. Why Alex Preddy is dead. While the others killed by ICE this year are dead. Oh, yeah, look at the rollback of women's rights, basic women's freedoms, and access to health care. We in the United States have to stop kidding ourselves. We have to understand that we are in the midst of an active coup by a regime beholden to malign foreign powers. Things are not normal. None of this is normal. English breakfast tea with honey and lemon. So none of this is normal. The president doesn't have the right to declare war. We should not be in Iran. This is an illegal war. Now, look, nobody is happier to see the Ayatollah out of power than me. But this is not the way to do it. Same with Maduro. And Donald Trump is very quickly, and I just know, I can't prove it, but I just know we are in Iran because of Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin pouring his poison, whispering his poison into Donald Trump's sycophantic ear, saying, Donald, you go into Iran, you show them hard, like you did last summer, right? Good win for you. Good ahead of midterm elections. It will be easy. You go in fast, hard, out easy. 3-day special military operation. And then he says to the Ayatollah, we will help you with the Americans. We will give you intelligence to target Americans. You will win this war. Squeeze them in the Gulf of Hormuz. And what do we get? Days after a Russian economist says the words, publishes his findings, says the words that Russia needs $200 barrel in oil to plug its budget deficit. What do we get? Sanctions relief on Russian oil, and the Iranian regime saying that they will push oil to $200 a barrel. That is not a coincidence, my friends. That is not a coincidence. They are in cahoots. And either Trump is openly in cahoots with them, this is part of some larger plan, or he has been manipulated by them into this nightmare that we are seeing unfold in the Gulf. That appears to me to be what's going on. And I don't have any idea what's going to happen next. Putin is playing both sides of the chessboard. Trump is playing. I wouldn't say that Putin plays chess. Putin is a judo guy. Judo guys take advantage of what's happening in the moment, their opponent's weaknesses. And of course, the greatest weakness of the American people is Donald Trump, installed by Putin with clear orders to destroy the United States of America. And he is doing a hell of a job. A hell of a job. He's not even a checkers guy. He's not even a checkers guy. He's not even a Monopoly guy. I mean, he doesn't play in a world where he can't win or where there's a chance for him to look like he's lost. He can't do it. Bingo, maybe. There you go, Maddie. There you go. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me take a moment here and thank Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces. I really encourage everybody to follow Nightshade if you don't follow him already. Great daily updates on Ukraine, many of which end up in this report every night. And I don't know, are any of the moderators here? Oh, there's Maddie Wright. There's Maddie Wright. Thanks, Maddie. Feisty is out sick. I hope she's feeling better. I really hope she's feeling better. And thanks to Pete and Travis, of course, when they're here. So big thanks to the moderator team. Questions, comments, points of observation. Anything about anything going on right now. Good night, Francis. Thanks for joining us. I know the poor thing is really having a hard time. She's not like on death's door or just anything, right? She's just unwell. But you know, it sucks to be sick. Good night, Chrissy. Guys, we have one more week of this daylight savings time bullshit. If you are someplace that has not yet done daylight savings time, we are an hour early right now. That will change once daylight savings time kicks in. So we have one more week of this. What does it tell you about Marco Rubio supporting Orban? And it's not just Rubio, Maddie, right? J.D. Vance is flying to Hungary to publicly support this puppet of Putin's. Ha ha ha, George, you're funny. Specifically to support this puppet of Putin's. It's a crime and a sin. I mean, if that doesn't tell you that this administration is bought by our enemies, I don't know what will. Graham, you have just voiced my deepest hope. You have just given voice to my deepest hope. You know, we look at what's happening on the Zaporizhia front line. Ukrainians are gaining ground. They're pushing the Russians back. They're killing everything in their way. And they're doing it with a new combined arms maneuver technique, a rolling swarm, a rolling drone swarm. And it looks like they are right now in the process of, I don't want to say perfecting that technique, but refining that technique, right? This is a brand new form of maneuver warfare where you send 400 drones at a time to pummel the enemy positions, to kill everything in your way. You force the enemy to go underground, go into foxholes, go into trenches, go into fortified locations. You suppress their fire. They can't even stick their heads up to shoot back. Pummel everything. And right behind those drones are the infantry. tank dismounted infantry that goes into the holes and cleans up afterward. They are refining this technique even now. Wouldn't it be something if they could push through to Melitopol? Wouldn't it be something if they could cut the land bridge to Crimea and isolate everyone in Kherson? Then you blow the Crimea Bridge, right? Then you blow the Kerch Bridge. And then the siege of Crimea is truly well and underway. Crimea has already been the subject of an intense bombing campaign that has destroyed radars and air defense assets across the peninsula. It's barely tenable for the Russians now. Cut off all their water, cut off their resupply routes, it will wither on the vine. Den makes the point that the rolling drone barrage is more accurate and better than artillery. So it's not just merely an adaptation. It's not merely an adaptation from World War I, but it's a refinement that takes into account the precision of today's technology. It's a good point, Den. $400 drones versus 400 shells. Many of those drones, of course, operated by FPV operators, right? So it's not like a shell that you just fire and it's off, but you can control the path and mark your target. The connection, my internet here is being reported as unstable, guys. I wonder if North Korea will build more stuff and give more people. I think if they were going to give more people, we would have seen that already. It appears that the role of North Korea has fallen to supplier, manufacturer. So they've constructed and opened 5 munitions plants in North Korea, specifically for building drones and drone components or shells for the Russian military. Drone swarms all the way to Moscow. You and me both, Michael. Hey, Yvonne. Hey, Renvox. I thought the North Koreans were still around training. Not to the best of my knowledge, Courtney Davis. The only North Koreans, there's maybe 1,500 North Koreans, we think, still in Kursk who are doing demining operations on Russian territory. Other than that, I'm not aware of any North Koreans in Russia. There was talk of several thousand at training camps in eastern Russia, but it turned out that they were going to work in drone manufacturing. They all got sent to the plants. So the drone manufacturing facilities inside of Russia are now mostly manned by Chinese workers and Ugandans, who have mostly been shanghaied into it, with promises of work in the hotel industry. That was the big scam they ran against the Ugandans. Then once they got them into Ukraine, they sent them to the drone factory, took their passports, and told them to go to work for slave wages. Dano Dadan, how you doing, pal? Wonder if Ukraine can hit North Korea with flamingos. No, it's too far. Flamingos only have a 3,000 kilometer range. Power and water are stable right now. Ooh, I didn't even plug in the backups. So if we suddenly go dark, guys, that's why. North Korea has already dispatched the disposables in their military. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I don't know if Putin didn't pay him, he didn't get what he thought he'd get for those guys, or if he was surprised by how many were killed. I don't think he cares, so I don't think it's that. Could North Korea be eyeing up a move south as the U.S. is pulling equipment out? That is a great question, Dan. I mean, this administration just does everything it can to help our enemies. They have pulled all the Patriots from South Korea. I mean, who needs Patriots as a deterrent against an aggressive neighbor more than South Korea? And they pulled them all out for Iran. I mean, it just goes to show you it's not a shortage of patriots that are keeping patriots out of Ukraine. It's priorities. I wish I could make it make sense, Matthew. The whole thing is, I mean, the only way that it makes sense is if you accept that Donald Trump is a foreign asset, that he is a Russian asset hell-bent on destroying the United States of America and our allies. As soon as you accept that, suddenly everything makes perfect sense. But if you don't accept that, if you hide your head in the sand and pretend that that's not what's really going on, you are going to stay confused. You keep pretending that we're living in a normal world, you're going to be confused. Michael, I don't think that Kim Jong-un has that kind of empathy. He does not give a shit. How many soldiers does Ukraine have left in Scotland? I didn't even know there were any Ukrainians in Scotland. I mean, I know a bunch of Ukrainians go to the UK for training, and those are usually, 8 or 10 week courses? But they rotate through and come back to fight. UK have now announced that the US can now use British bases for aggressive flights. Pretty sure Grok already confirmed Trump is a Russian asset. You mean Ukraine? What does that mean? Are you asking how many Ukrainian soldiers there are? It's about 1 million. Hey, Seawolf. Seawolf, we have one more week of this time change dystopia. One more week, brother, and then we'll be back at the your regularly scheduled time. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. We didn't have a sponsor tonight. We didn't have a sponsor most of this week. And that is making life very hard for me, I got to tell you. So if anybody can help out and sponsor live, PayPal's in the description. Or if you are not currently a Patreon member, maybe you could join the Patreon. If you join the Patreon at the $5 a month level and you pay for the year up front, which is like $50, I'll give you a live sponsorship. They're on sale this week. So if anybody can help me out, things are pretty thin on the ground here. That would be great. So thanks, everybody. Have a great evening and make it a pleasant tomorrow. Take care. PayPal's in the description. Have a good one, George. Or join the Patreon. Patreon is also in my bio. Patreon is really the way to go. This has been a tough winter. Thanks, Guard. Thanks, man. Take care, everybody.